Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. Welcome back to another episode, and today is one of my favorite human beings. Now, if you've ever seen the Firefit competition, you'll know it looks like the firefighter's worst nightmare compressed into absolute chaos. Well, 70 seconds of chaos if you're fast enough. Like, imagine the hardest maybe 400-meter sprint of your life. Lungs burning, legs screaming. Then add all your firefighting PPE bunker gear. Add in a stair climb. Add in a haul. Add in a charge length of hose, a dummy drag, a sledgehammer. That's Firefit. Basically, it's brutal, it's unforgiving, and today's guest is the best in the world at it. Bradley Dix, aka Brad Dixie, holds the world record. Let that sink in for a second. Out of the thousands of firefighters across the entire globe, he is the fastest one ever to compete in this grueling test. But what is honestly even more fascinating about Brad isn't just the time on the clock, it's the mindset behind it. I know you won't be surprised to hear that. You hear it on a lot of podcasts, but Brad will be the first to tell you his ego doesn't drive him, unlike a lot of athletes that we see. And I've been that athlete driven by ego at times. What drives Brad is the stopwatch, the ethos, the camaraderie, the laughs, the shits, the giggles, the teamwork. His training is relentless. Yes, his focus is razor sharp. But honestly, his humility is even sharper than that. In our conversation today, we get into so many cool areas. We talk about what it's really like to build a champion, what it takes. We talk about discipline, the kind where training isn't optional. It's like oxygen. As Brad says, he's like a dog. You know, if I don't train, I go crazy. A tired dog is a good dog. We talk visualization, how he runs the course hundreds, thousands of times in his mind before he ever steps on it. We'll talk about resilience, that ability to keep showing up, to keep playing whilst others start treating it as work. And also we talk about some other areas of resilience where some other things that have driven Brad, some team setbacks, losing colleagues, literally. Brad also shares his journey of wildland firefighting in Alberta to becoming the world champion, to raising young children and a family who keep him grounded. Right there is a reminder we all need. No matter how big the stage, family and real life will always humble you. In fact, I'm going to play a little bit of an audio of Brad's song that he listens to sort of remind him that, you know what, it's just Firefit. No one cares. We touch a lot on the power of community, brotherhood that stretches across Firefit, where world-class athletes are still swapping tips and cheering each other on. Through it all, what stood out for me, and it's just balance. You know, Brad is fiercely competitive. No two ways about it, but he refuses to let competition define him. He's obsessed with pushing his limits, but he's equally obsessed with his family, music, travel. God, this guy travels so much, different adventures. You know, I just love this guy. We spent time together out in Saudi, and it is a different type of champion. And maybe that's why he's the best. The champion mindset isn't about going all in on one thing at the expense of everything else. It's about building a full, rich life and letting your passion elevate you instead of consume you. And it's something I'm certainly trying to get better at personally. Don't know if that relates to you, maybe. So if you think this episode is just going to be about sport, balls to the walls, hard ass, kicking in doors, all go no quit till your knees bleed, think again. Yes, it's about grit, but it's about humility. It's about learning how to outlast, not just outrun people. It's about carrying the weight of the fire service, of the family, of personal ambition, and still find a way to keep moving forward. And here's the kicker. Brad isn't done yet. This week, literally this week when this comes out, he is stepping onto the stage once again at the 2025 Firefit National and World Championships in Ontario. Not just to defend his title, but maybe even, just maybe, to break his own record once again. So I hope you're going to take so much from this. I absolutely loved it. Going to have Brad on again in the future. Such a good friend. Can't wait to go out there and spend some time with him and the family and Carla and the team and everybody. I know you're going to love it. My conversation with a good friend, an incredible firefighter, amazing father, and a world record holder. Here's Bradley Dix. I'll see you on the other side. How is it being the goddamn bee's knees, the world champion, King Ding-a-ling, because you are one of the most humble people, laid back, unexpected champions I've probably ever had the privilege of spending time with?
Oh, you're too kind. How does it feel to be the most handsome firefighter in the business right now?
It's hard, it's rough. That is a
Yeah, I
rough
can imagine
mantle to
the
carry.
pressure
Heavy.
you have. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's rough.
it's insane. Honestly, I still don't believe it. Like it was a goal I was chasing for so long. The guy that had the record prior to me, his name was Ian Van Rieden, and I just took him his flowers. Like he was the first guy to go sub 112, go sub 111, go hit 110. And if you look at this guy, he's an absolute specimen. Like he's 6'4", probably like 240, just like hot.
Yeah.
He's a beauty. And when he hit that record at 110.02, I was like, man, that is like a high bar.
Yeah.
So the past like 4 or 5 years, we've just been like, that's the goal. And we've just been training and optimizing everything we can to get to that. So the fact that it's done now, it's hard to believe. Um, yeah, terribly humbled by it and excited for like the future prospects and what we can do moving forward because there's definitely room to improve and things to do better.
How do you not make it your all and everything and all encompassing focus though? Because challenge circuits and even the fire service in general, the fire department it's a bit of a black hole. You can't fill it up. There's no matter how much you do, there is always a competition you didn't go to. There's a different variation of a course. Like, how did you manage to frame success in something where there are elements here that are outside of your sphere of control? I always say to people, firefight challenge circuits, it's not really you against them. It's not tennis. Do you know what I mean? It's not boxing where if you go left, I need to go right. It is, you're running against each other, but you're both running an individual course. So how do you wrap your head around that?
Well, that's the nature of Firefit, which I love so much, is because it's not like, and that's what's fostered this amazing community. It's because I'm not racing you. I'm racing my previous best time. I'm trying to get better and beat myself. So when you go to like a Firefit race, I'm like talking to the competitors and we're like kind of hashing out training plans like prior to the race and saying what we can optimize and sharing secrets for like what we're doing to be the best athletes that we can be so that we can beat our own times. Because like it doesn't matter if somebody beats my record, my time is 109, so I got to get faster than 109 next time. The guy running next to me runs at 115, then that's great, but I need to be beating my time, and it's regardless of what they're doing, or it doesn't matter so much against the person I'm racing. It's just that I'm trying to get better every single time I step in the course. And the thing that makes it so like great is that I love doing it and I love the community around it. And so the people that I train with and that I compete against, like we're all just like friends now. So it's like I get so much energy and joy from going to the tower and training that I can't imagine doing something else.
This episode is brought to you in partnership with Godiva Limited. Godiva is one of the world's leading providers of specialist equipment for emergency services market. Godiva produces a comprehensive range of fire pumps, including vehicle-mounted, portable, and their cutting-edge integrated total water flow control system, SAMFlows. I've been using Godiva my entire career as a reliable pump on the fire ground. It is such a crucial element of a successful firefighting team that you want to empower your crews with the very best, reliable, quality product. Reach out to our partners by checking the notes in the podcast. Now back to the show. If you're trying to get the world record, yes, I get that analogy and I get that mindset, but some people just want to win and they don't mind how they win. They just want to win. Like, I remember reading a finance, economy, psychology book, and I promise this relates. It sounds like another ADHD rabbit hole, but it's roughly related. And it said and it was about, would you rather earn £20,000 more or everyone else that lives around you earns £10,000 less?
I've heard this,
and everybody wanted to choose. No, sorry, it was like everyone gets a 20 grand pay rise or everyone else except you gets a 10 grand pay cut. And speed, wealth, health, whatever, it's all by comparison, isn't it? You are first because you were faster than the person who was second. And I remember hearing it like a sprint coach for this, and the person that they were coaching beat their personal best, but they went from fourth in one competition to like ninth in the other, but they beat their personal best. And it was about reframing that as progress versus perfection, you versus you. You know, I've got me versus me tattooed on my back, but I don't always live up to it because we live in a world of comparison, and it's so hard to rip yourself away from that. Do you know what I mean? So if I said like, Brad, you're the best athlete, and you go, well, what's the metric? You know, followers, number of competitions I've been to, number of gold medals I've won, fastest time I've got. What's the metric? And like, how do you wrap your head around those 27 questions and approaches? What does that mean to you?
I think the biggest thing I took from what you said is reframing.
Okay.
Back in the day, my goal has been like 109 for so long that like, even though I'd be getting PBs and I'd be going from like 113 to 112, I wouldn't be celebrating the little wins. I'd just be like, okay, well, that's not the 109. So it's not what I wanted to do. It's like, yeah, I won the race, I won the competition, but it's not like that wasn't the metric I was looking for. And I was losing a little bit of the joy from the sport. And like the whole reason I do this is for fun and to be with the boys and to, you know, have like an excuse to train with my best friends. Yep. So I started celebrating the little wins. I started celebrating, you know what, this race, I had my fastest rope pull ever. It wasn't my fastest race there, but it was my fastest rope pull. So that's a win. That's something to take forward and keep going on. Getting a new personal best, even if it wasn't like the world record, it was still like a step in the right direction. And my team does this thing where we have this like super tight leopard print shirt. And if you get a personal best, you get to wear that out to the banquet that night. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I got the shirt tonight. That's good enough. And I got to go party with my, you know, my two besties, Carla and Dave. And what's not to love?
That, you said it yourself, like you said it on some of the comms we were sharing before. It's not just your record. It's a team effort. Now that sounds like a wanky thing some people would put on a thank you card to other people. But I've had the absolute privilege of meeting Carla and everyone and spending time, you know, when we're out in Saudi Arabia together. That is a very unique thing compared to some other athletes that were out there. No names and doesn't matter who and whatever. But they were individual. There was like 4 individual athletes versus a team, and the way in which you guys and girls support each other. And it's that kind of rising tide raises all the ships, but you are all competing in the same thing. So how and again, it's probably been an unconscious thing, but like, how have you created that kind of team ethos? Because it is an individual sport.
It's I think it goes so much deeper than just the sport. Like Carla and I have been through so much together. We like have a lengthy, it's been a long road the two of us have gone in. And Dave joined the team 4 years ago, and he's just like come right in as like this, I don't know. He's such a fierce competitor. He's like the most organized, like business-minded person I think I've ever met. So he brings that aspect to the team of like team management and team cohesion. And like he hosts a Firefit Christmas party every year out of his lake. And it's just like basically the 3 of us. We do like a workout in the morning. And then we bounce between the sauna and then like jumping into the polar plunge of the lake, like back and forth all day while smashing beers and just like chatting about the year. And keep in mind, like in the winter here, it's like minus 35 degrees Celsius. So it's pretty chilly. Like every time you come out of the lake, it instantly freezes over top. So the next 10 minutes, you got to break the ice to jump back in. My team is absolutely incredible. We train with like the Edmonton guys at their tower. Okay. And those guys have just such a wealth of knowledge. People on there have been doing the sport for 20 years. And they're so generous with their time. And they're able to just impart so much knowledge to us. So it's just such a great like community that we've been able to build, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
When you slept with Dave, was that any risk of breaking the team up, or did you manage to move past that, or?
You know what? It caused a lot of adversity, but like, you gotta
roll with it. The antibiotics worked, and you both recovered, and you know, let's just put it past us, right? It stays in the team. It's okay.
Poland was a wild time. Things happen. Their vodka's just stronger over there. When we went there for the European Championships, it's just different.
It is beyond a privilege to be able to bring the Firefighters podcast to you, and we are so grateful for every single person that supports, listens, shares, and follows our journey. But here's the honest truth. it takes a colossal amount of time and work to keep the podcast going. And to help us keep doing it, create more, reach more guests internationally, and make the podcast sustainable, we're asking for you to help. And to do this, we've set up a Patreon page. Now, by joining this, you'll not only support the future of the podcast, but also gain access to exclusive benefits. Now, if you've ever wanted to meet a member of the podcast, buy us a beer, buy us a coffee, and you think anything you've ever listened to on the podcast has been worth £3, that's basically what we're asking you for. By joining our Patreon community, you will get access to every single full episode archive we have ever made. Now, hundreds and hundreds of key documents that we've got in there on fire behavior, firefighter health, cancer risks, instant debriefs, and so much more. A growing collection of valuable resources to help you learn and grow. Your support in whatever way, dropping it in the WhatsApp group, sharing it on the local newsletter, whatever it is, it's incredibly valuable and we really do support it. And we need it to make it a long-lasting resource, that legacy resource we always talk about for first responders, firefighters, and everybody everywhere who's ever been interested in joining the fire service. Now, if you're already supporting something, as many people do, it's totally cool. You can still access the podcast for free and you'll always be able to access all the new episodes for free. But we're asking for your help to make this sustainable. And we want to keep growing, we want to keep sharing the insights, and we want to keep showcasing the incredible work happening in our community and our sector. So if you feel like you want to join the Patreon crew and help us make this possible, head to patreon.com/TFFPC or check the link in any episode podcast notes. So we've just about wrapped up the UK Challenge Series circuit, and it's still it's a much more infancy sport over here. So if memory serves, I think it was like early 90s, it started out in the States. You're probably going to correct me here, and it'd be good to triangulate this, because this is the little ramble speech I always give at the beginning of a lot of the challenges. It was late 80s, early 90s, and it started in the States. And it was about our arguments, but trying to standardize fitness levels. And then naturally it turned into a little bit of departmental competitions, and then manifested into Firefit, made its way over to the UK in the early 2000s, manifesting in the British Firefighter Challenge. But America, Canada is still where a lot of the heavy hitters are. And then you've got the toughest firefighter lives that we obviously did out in Saudi. You've got a lot of that sort of circuit in Germany. France is very much still Firefit environment. But do you think the fittest firefighter is the one that wins?
Ooh, loaded question. I think that there's different metrics for fitness. Like if you look at somebody, like if you look at yourself or you look at Jared Johnson, like you guys just look like the fittest people out there. Like
meathead,
shredded,
ex-steroid taking, just knuckle draggers.
I don't know. Just handsome, like studs, you know?
I'm not sure about that. But there's a little bit of Deadpool going on in my kind of life, I think. I'm somewhere between someone under care and someone post-cancer treatment. But anyway, I'll take the compliment. So yeah, some people look the way.
Yeah. The coolest superhero is what you are. Yeah, I get it. But when we went to the first time we did the TFA, like Toughest Firefighter Live, was in Saudi there. And that was like a whole different level of fitness than what I normally train for. Like when I'm training, terrible.
You watch it, but it was a whole game changer, wasn't it? And you saw
absolutely
the rankings changed completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy that's won all of the stuff over here, Matt Adams, he won everything this year, and he really struggled out there because it was just a whole different thing, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Okay. When I'm training, all my intervals are like at 70 seconds or lower, and then it's like taking decent rest and then coming back in and trying to maximize that speed. But yeah, with the toughest, well, also with the TFA, we were super jet lagged. I think we arrived like 2 days prior to the competition and our clocks were totally flipped. And then Dave and I both got food poisoning. So it wasn't our best performance, but I think it just kind of like stacked on the difficulty of that.
Carla did well though.
Well, Carla does well at everything. Yeah, that's not a fair standard.
She didn't have as many excuses as you had, and I'm assuming you took the same flight, but I don't know.
Plus, the more you hang out with Carla, the more you realize that like all excuses are just useless. She had her second baby, and then 7 weeks later, competed at our nationals and won fourth. She came off the course and was breastfeeding her newborn child. She got a brain tumor removed, and then the next year was like, I think she won nationals that year or something. So she's a beast. She is not.
That's what we recorded together and we're out there. I don't know what it is. It's way back. People have to scroll way back, but they can hear a bit of Carla's story. And hers was like, we just sat in reception, and she was like, "Oh, let's do a bit of a recording thing." I was like, "Yeah, sure." And the 5 or 6 other people, and all of us it just became not because she's not a me person. She's actually quite you wouldn't know she is a savage because she doesn't, lord it over people. But
Hmm.
we were all just like, oh my God, like what she has come through and still remains such an incredibly high performing athlete. You're like, there's levels to hard. Most
Yeah.
of us, the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. So that's where your spectrum begins. But when your spectrum includes, you know, surgery to remove, and we'll get into that because that came out of some of the great health screening that you guys and girls do over there. But yeah, she's an incredibly inspiring individual. She
And
must bring a
so,
really, really interesting lens to the way she looks at life, having had to flirt with the idea that she might lose her faculties, she might lose her job, her
mhm,
ability to care for her children. That's a whole different kind of reframe, isn't it?
it's insane. And she's the most optimistic, positive person, unless you're training with her and then she like really holds you accountable and will make
Okay.
you feel bad about yourself. But otherwise, yeah, she's like the best person out there. Like she's like the epitome of what every firefighter should start. Like, and that's like
Mm,
not just blowing smoke. She's absolutely incredible. She's never
mm.
complained about like an ambulance call or any of that stuff, you know? It's just like she had that level of optimism and drive and yeah, determination to still be like one of the fittest firefighters on my department at age 41,
Is she
female, mother of
41
two.
now?
Yeah,
Whoa. She
it's
looks
insane.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I need to
yeah,
talk to her again. I need to catch
you
up.
should.
We
She
message
should
every
be
now
here
and
right now.
again. She should be. She'd be way more. She
Yeah.
wasn't available. I'll be totally honest with you.
She's in Nepal
Like,
right now. Her and her family are
oh,
hiking to Everest Base Camp.
motherfuckers. Of course they are.
Yeah,
God
yeah,
damn it. And
I
she
know.
just, you talk about living with intention. How many great ideas die in the minds of cowards or people, not cowards. Cowards are a horrible word. I don't mean that. But like, you get points for talking about stuff. So let's go here because this is a good one. You get the same amount of dopamine and like social rewards sometimes from talking about a thing. Because like if I said to you, hey, going to climb Everest in 20, you'd be like, no way, dude. Whoa, that's incredible. Like, you know what? If anyone was going to do it, you would do it because you're just that kind of guy. I've not fucking done anything. I've not done anything. And you're lauding me with praise that I've not done it yet. Do you know what I mean? And I think so many
Hmm.
people, we get points for talking about stuff, but it's the whole sort of Muhammad Ali, the competition's won far away from the lights and the claps and the cheers of fans and all that sort of stuff. It's the stuff you do when no one's watching, isn't it? But she is so great about following through on doing what she says she's going to do.
Yeah, and she can care less what people think. Like she has no social media whatsoever. It's just like she's out there doing it, out there living. She's my definitely my hero for sure.
We spoke before we came on. I'll probably put it in actually. The playfulness that you go about approaching competition. So people will, and I don't want to keep referencing Jared, but he's been on twice. I love Jared. People know I do, but he is really, really good at coaching a lot of other people. And one of the methods his marketing, you see, I'm trying to be political now. I love him. He knows I love him, but he goes about it in a very grit, sawdust. This is it. The heavy music, the slow motion video, and yours is a funny video to the three of you, usually doing a song and pretending to hump each other or something like that. Is if anybody goes over to your social media, we'll put a link
Yeah,
underneath this for people. You're a very good follow. You
it's a lot
play
of
with
booty shorts for
life.
sure. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's like I never wanted to like firefighting is I mean, I love it. It's a huge passion, a huge part of my life, but it's not my entire life. I really enjoy like a lot of things it's provided, a lot of friendships I made from it. But one of my mentors said, "It's like, yeah, when I take off the uniform, I'm a whole person outside of this." And like this, I never wanted to like curate one specific personality online that was just like firefighting or firefit is all I do. And I think that that's just like also how I live. Like I have a tattoo like balance between body and mind, like the owl and the stag. I feel like the first half of my life, I was so focused on like athletics and physical accomplishments. And then I started like meditating. I started doing a lot more like introspection and trying to figure out about like self actualization and all this like amazing like things you can kind of explore. And none of that
Mm-hmm.
really pertains to firefighting at all. It's more about just like, yeah, I don't know.
This
I
is
think
just
this has
the
been
thing
very,
you do.
yeah,
This is
exactly.
the way that your spirit is manifesting through trying to add a bit of value to the world, but also there's the work-life balance element to it, feeling like you've had a sense of purpose. You've made a difference in some capacity in the thing that you do. And again, everybody makes a difference, but there's a very short reward loop in firefighting when you go and do a thing and in a short period of time, 20, 30 minutes, you could have saved somebody's life. You'd have had an interaction with somebody's mortality and hopefully made a really, really positive difference. But I do think there is a massive death of identity when people leave the fire service. And I feel like an absolute hypocrite even pretending to talk about this, because in my main life, I do firefighting, and in my part-time, I talk to firefighters all over the world.
That's right.
And I very much wrap myself in that entire thing. But total honesty, and we will go into some firefighting stuff today, but my get out is I'm way more interested in people than I am in the job. The job is interesting.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because of the people that it attracts to the job. Do you know what I'm saying? The job is just a job. But it's interesting because of the people that are attracted to it, and it's the people that make it what it is.
And I think, like you said, people that sorry, my dog's just drinking water. I don't know if it's super loud right now, but yeah, I think there's something to be said about the person that's attracted to the job, and then like I think the people that retire successfully are some of the most interesting people. Like they've set up their whole lives separate from like their identity as being like a fire captain or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So when they take off and they're like fishing every weekend, they're going traveling, they're exploring. It's like that's the type of person I want to be with that. And I think in order to be that type of person, you have to be curating that life the entire way through your career.
Yeah, that's not going to happen by accident. That has
Absolutely.
to be a real intention. So how have you arrived at this? Because like you say, when you first joined, you joined when you were 18, didn't you?
I did part-time when I was 18, and then became full-time at 22, and then I did some wildland firefighting between there.
So where did you start when you were 18?
Same department I work for now, Strathcona County.
Okay.
But we have like part-time stations as well. So out in like rural area, you're paid on call, and then our whole district, our whole county is a pretty massive urban-rural interface. So all like the city area is covered by full-time firefighters, as well as like one smaller town that's like near a whole bunch of industrial sites.
So talk to me like I'm a 7-year-old from England. Talk to me about wildland firefighting. Talk to me about Alberta. Talk to me about what would probably be very different from an on-call. I joined on-call when I was 18 as well. I live in a rural area, so we have a lot of thatch fires, and we don't actually have any wildland fires, but we had a lot of like combine harvester fires, animal rescues and stuff like that. What was basic training like for you? What was the call profiles? What was the job that you first started doing? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Gore-Tex Professional Fabrics. Now, we all know the working environment of a firefighter is filled with challenges. We face serious risks on the job, such as heat exhaustion, burns, physical and mental stress, and we frequently come into contact with high levels of toxic chemicals. Now, I have been wearing Gore-Tex for nearly 2 decades on the front line, working in hostile environments, tackling challenging incidents from firefighting to water incidents and in urban search and rescue environments. Gore-Tex have a well-earned reputation for protecting professionals in the fire and emergency services through their family of highly innovative, waterproof, breathable moisture barriers that exceeds global performance standards and are trusted worldwide. Gore-Tex, going further together.
So wildland firefighting Alberta is like, in my opinion, like the best job I've ever had. It was so much fun because the people that get into it either want to become full-time firefighters or they get into forestry. So they're people that love being outdoors. They're active people. They're people that are just like, they're using it as a stepping stone, but it's usually their first introduction to fire service in somewhere. So typically on a crew of 4, your most senior person would be 24, 25 years old. And then they're just like basically babysitting a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds.
Walk off the cliff.
Yeah, essentially. And it's like in Alberta, I'm not sure the exact size, but it's like the province itself is definitely bigger than England is. And we have, I believe, 12 different districts. Yeah. And basically like I was a part of initial attack. So it's a 4-man crew. You're in a helicopter. You go up, you fly to a different air base every day. You are manned up at that base. And then basically at one point you do a patrol around your area. If you see a smoke, you attack it. And we action every single fire that's in Alberta. And the area I was stationed at was the Fort McMurray area. So it's the northeastern part of the province. And it's primarily boreal forest. So huge potential for massive fire. And it was so much fun. Basically, you would be on camp for 2 weeks in, 1 week out. And then if there was a busy season, you'd get extended. So you'd be doing like 21 days on, 3 days off. And for a 21 or 20-year-old kid, it was just like amazing.
Well, straight into flying helicopters at that age is a very different I know you weren't flying the helicopters,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, it was clarification. I'm not a pilot, but still, just surreal. I imagine that sort of stuff very quickly became every day for you. But I've
Yeah.
only,
The problem with
operationally
my
flown
problem,
helicopters a few times.
my problem with the helicopters became so normalized that when we're doing patrols, it would put me to sleep, like the hum and like the bombing through the air. So I'd have to sit in the middle between two people because I would just fall asleep for the patrols, and everybody else would have to be watching for the fight.
So,
Um,
what's the general tactics that you learn? What would be the fitness test or something like? Because I've spoken to quite a few wildland firefighters, but I don't remember ever even going into fitness standards for people joining that, because it is a much more endurance based role. You have to carry
yeah,
everything that you use. There's a lot of tabbing, like is what we call it in the UK for military. There's a lot of rucking, a lot of
mhm.
walking for miles and miles with all your kit on your back.
Yeah, absolutely. The fitness test, if I remember correctly, it was like you had 14 minutes to complete this entire circuit, and it was, I don't want to butcher it, but basically you're carrying like a 50-pound simulated pump. You have to carry it
Mhm.
40 meters around a couple pylons, bring it back. You put the pump on your back, and then they have a simulated incline. So it's like you run 20 kilometers, and in the mid, or sorry, 20 meters, and in the middle of it is like a 3 meter high platform. So you run up the incline, onto the platform, and down. And then you run around the pylon and keep doing that until you do a total distance of 1 kilometer with that 50 pounds on your back. Then you carry a hose pack and you do just like some laps of that. And then you do like a hand over hand pull of a sled across the concrete floor. There's something else, but I can't quite remember it. It's been like 15 years since I've done it, but it's quite extensive. And then you go to Members, which is in Hinton, like a mountain town here in Alberta,
Mhm.
and you do 2 weeks of just straight like fire training. Every morning is fitness, like 6 a.m. You wake up, do an hour of fitness. Yeah, I don't know. It was awesome. It was like, I can't preach it enough. If you're looking in the fire service and you're in Canada or you anywhere, it's like come to Alberta, come to BC, come to Saskatchewan and do like wildland firefighting.
So cutting trenches and cutting lines and creating a fire break and stuff like that, for people that have never seen it done operationally, I was astonished as to how, I mean, it looks like a hell of a lot of hard work, but they don't cut the lines very thick, do they? Which really blew my mind. I thought that, they'd be doing a couple of feet for a fire break, as I would think it in the UK. We'd get a piece of machinery and just try and churn out a couple of feet or at least a meter or so for a fire break. But when you're out there and you see a fire break out, we'll get away from the tactics in a minute, but I think it's interesting for people, certainly interesting for me. What would be a general operational tactic that you would be using on a regular basis?
Yeah, so like I said, I was more initial attack where we did 4-man crews. So when we'd be landing um, in a boreal forest. So
Hmm.
the effectiveness of fire breaks were not super important to us. We would be
Yeah.
doing that only if we couldn't get a water source and if it's a creeping fire along the ground. Um, Typically would be like finding a water source where, and there's like a very muskegee area. So that's just like a moss covered area with water underneath. So and then, yeah, just run line and try to wrap the fire as soon as possible. The difference between wildland firefighting and structural is like we don't care about the fire going on in the middle of the fire at all. It's all about hitting the
Hmm.
perimeter. That's where it's spreading.
Okay.
So eliminating ladder fuels, and then if you do cut a fire break, typically that's a more on a longer sustained fire or campaign fire, and you'll have crews coming in that are designated to do like fire breaks or more like kind of behind the scenes stuff. So they're working at the
Hmm.
heel of the fire to do that fire line, and depending on your crew size, depending on the size of the fire, and depending on like if the fire is made into the trees or not, will dictate the size of your fire line.
Oh, yeah, that's fascinating. It's something I would really love to do. I've got a friend of mine, Dave, lives over in Canada, and he actually came
Oh,
over for the
Goggins?
British this year. No, you fool! I love it. Dave Goggins, my friend. No, a close friend of mine. He's been on the podcast a few times. I desperately want to get out there to see it in action and to do to at least do a tour with him or something like that. There's so many things on my list. I'm moving roles soon. I'm getting back onto a station. I've
How do you feel about that?
been in the headquarters. Cannot wait. Jesus Christ! Like, I want to do lots of different jobs in the fire service because I really want to have. I always say I want to outlive people, and what I mean by that is it shouldn't be a bad comparison. It's not, but I don't mean outlive as in age. I mean outlive, live fully.
Mm,
I love to travel. I love to do different jobs. I love to work at different stations. I love to work in different roles. I love to make lots of different friends all over the world because there is just, it's like the more you see and the more you experience, the more you realize there is. Do you know what I
There's
mean?
so many
And the
ways
same
to
with
live this
the
life.
more you
Yeah.
learn about the job, the more you realize how insignificant your knowledge base was to start with. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
So,
So yeah, I wanted to work in training school for a while, and then I've been at our headquarters for a while, done fire investigation, operational assurance, ops planning for all the big risk sites, and all that sort of. Anyway, that involves your working days a lot. I'm transitioning very soon back onto a fire station, and that will give me a lot more time off, which is great because I keep having to say no to lots of really, really fun adventures. But I always say there's no solutions, only trade-offs. Every time you say yes to doing something, you're actually saying no to other things as well.
mhm.
But I want to lick everything in the fridge. Anyway, so I want to get out there and spend some time with him. But you went full-time in 2014, didn't you?
That's right. Yeah.
2014. Talk to me about the first time you moved into that, because this was around the same time as you did your first challenge, wasn't it?
Yeah. So 2014, I had just finished up I was in my third season of wildland firefighting. I was working ambulance out in St. Paul, a small town, like 2 hours from here. And yeah, it was like finally time to step up to kind of the big leagues out of the part-time role in the department.
What were you doing
And
full
like,
time at that time then? You
wildland
did.
firefighting.
Oh, so that was on call, but it was your full time job?
No, so I was doing part-time with Strathcona. So they're two
Yeah.
separate jobs, working as like a part-time or paid on-call firefighter with Strathcona. And then my full-time gig was doing wildland.
Right. So you never had a real job?
No, when I was not doing wildland, like that's only from the summer. And so in the wintertime, I was doing either personal training or I was working for construction company.
Right.
Yeah.
Construction is hard as balls. That makes you realize my dad did it for like 45 years. And you go, Jesus, yeah, I don't want to be 55, 60, still working on construction sites.
I
That,
always joke
as
that
much as,
like those are real jobs, and we don't really do
yeah,
a real job.
no. Our thing beats working for a living. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. And we work hard when we need to, and there's the ups and
Hmm.
downs, and there's equally challenges of contamination and sleep and trauma and all that sort of jazz. But yeah, I don't think manual labor is A, it's not appreciated as much as it is, but B, it's just hard as balls. You know, I'm glad I didn't fall into that. So you went full time. You did your training in Texas, right?
I did. Yeah. Training division. They at the time, like, yeah, working as a wildland firefighter, I was so busy in the summers that I didn't have time to like go to an actual fire school and do my 1001s. NFPA 1001s is like the base level for fire training in Canada and the States. So Texas Training Division was like this cheap option that was like super affordable, and you do all the didactic online, and then you fly down there for 2 weeks and you just crush it all the practical. And you get the exact same certifications as you would if you did any school up here, but it's like a quarter of the price.
So unpick this for people in case they're just joining us for the first time on the podcast. Like, you have to get your certification before you ever join the fire service. Am I right in saying that? Over here, we
Yeah.
won't take anybody, but like we'll kind of take anybody, and then we'll we'll do all of your training for you. We'll do all of your qualifications. We'll give you your EFAD, which is like your lorry driving, your HGV, your LGV. We pay for everything. Whereas over there, you
That's
have
handy.
to pay for your own certification, don't you?
Yeah. So when I started, you needed to have your firefighting 1001s, your hazmat courses, as well as be a primary care paramedic.
Okay.
So you got to do all the training yourself. You got to come on basically fully trained. And then once we started, we had a 10-week orientation where they trained you to the Strathcona standard, or like our department's level of what they wanted you to be proficient at and the way that they went about doing business. So it sounds like similar to you guys.
How much should it cost you personally? You have to invest then before you can even start the job. I know you guaranteed a position before you start that training.
No, not at all. No, it's super competitive. So for me, with Strathcona, when I applied, there was 300 applicants for 8 jobs. In the same time, I got hired at Edmonton, and they have a lower standard, similar to you guys, where you just get hired and they train you for absolutely everything. And they had, I think, 3,000 people applying for 40 positions. So highly competitive, not a guarantee at all that you do all this training and you're going to get a job. And yeah, I think all in, if you did all your training at a school like in Sherwood Park, it would probably cost you about $25,000-$30,000 to do.
Wow. So do
Yeah,
you have to do payment plan on all that shit, or like you
a lot of
just?
people do. Yeah, yeah. I was
That's
super
crazy.
fortunate because I was part time with Strathcona. And I did some achievements. I got a scholarship, so they paid for a portion of my schooling. And then doing it through Texas for my 1001s, it saved me a bunch of money as well. So I think all in, out of pocket, I probably paid about $8,000.
So how do they rank them and yank them? Do you know, like, how do they separate the good from the bad? Is it just they take the top scores, or is there a minimum? Like, how could people set themselves up for success if they wanted to heighten their chances of getting in?
For the application process,
Yeah.
it's we break it into 4 sections. So number one is the aptitude test. Everybody who has like a passable resume gets the aptitude test. You get ranked on that. There's I think a cutoff level. So for my year, I think it was like 89, 90%. If you make it past that, then you go into the physical. When I was going through it, the physical was still competitive and everything was scored. So the further you made it for the physical, the better you were ranked.
Oh, nice.
Since that, they've changed it to make it more inclusive, and they just have a bare minimum that you have to pass. There's an interview portion,
That's a very
and then
political answer. They've made it more inclusive. What's that mean? Made it easier. I lowered it.
they haven't made it easier, but
But they
yeah,
don't get the highest scores. They don't get the top. They get
my
people
department
that are
doesn't.
good enough.
Yeah,
But they don't get the top performer,
that's right. Yeah,
which I think is a difficult one for the public to wrap their heads around sometimes. Hard for me to wrap my head around sometimes. I do get it. Of course I get it. We talk
yeah.
about it on the podcast all the time. But you ask the public, they go, I don't really care. I just want the person that's best for the job.
I think that's a very common theme up here too. Most people agree with that sentiment, but yeah, it is what it is. And then, anyways, after that, you go to the interview, and the interview has like the biggest weighting. So it's a lot about just your personality, if you're going to be a good fit with the crew, um, and then if there's any big red flags out there. And then the final step is the medical scenarios.
Any
medical
big red
testing.
flags? So giving them your thoughts on Ukraine or
Oh yeah, if you come in with a tank top on or something like that, you might not be the most qualified candidate.
That's not the time to be giving your thoughts on racial dynamics or anything like that.
That's right.
So you joined. You're in 2014. What made you want to go straight into the challenge circuit? It is quite a niche within the sector.
It is. Yeah, no, we had this so our coach, our mentor, our like team captain, I guess at the time was this man named Darren Anderson. He was just like the driving force for Firefit. He was super passionate about it, absolutely loved it. And he came and gave a speech to us or a talk to us about what Firefit was with Strathcona. And just so inspiring. And then kind of bullied us into doing it a little bit. You know, he came to one of our fitness days and had us like run the course and showed us what it was all about. And I wasn't like the best at it right away. So I was like, maybe we could do a little bit better. But he saw something in me and he kind of like kept pushing me. And we, as a department, were hosting a Firefit event that year in 2015. So he had me come up to some winter trainings and then like kind of pushed me to get going and eat. My first year, I ran in like a 142. And yeah, no, Darren was like the lifeblood for our whole team for a long time. And then in 2018, we won the national championship for mixed relay. And then a week later, unfortunately, committed suicide from job-related stresses. So since then, it's been a big like motivating factor to keep his name alive, and like I've been training super hard with like kind of him in the back of my mind, and just trying to keep like the Strathcona Firefit team alive and for his sake. So when I started, it was the same year that Carla started, and he had the same impact on her as he did with me. So every time we're training together, every time we're like competing together, we always like Carla wears the same shirt. He always used to say beauty. He called everybody beauties, and she has a shirt with his like handwritten beauty written on it. And she wears it every time she races. So we definitely carry him a lot every time we're on the course.
MSA are supporting us on today's podcast, and I chose to partner with them because I've been wearing this stuff for nearly 20 years, and they are the global leader in development, manufacture, and supply of incredible, safe products that really protect people, not just our communities out there, but also first responders, most importantly, all over the world. Get yourself over to MSA and have a look at it. The high-performance protective clothing for emergency services responders. They also partner with us on the UK Pink Firefighters. That's because we love them. The helmets with the reflective visor, the F1XF, absolutely epic helmet. And not forgetting how they improve firefighter safety through their connectivity in the connected firefighter platform. MSA are always pushing the envelope, and it's a real privilege to be able to continue to grow our partnership together. So whether it's your PPE, your bunker gear, your helmets, your SCBA, your thermal imaging, your Luna, or your portable gas detection, both of us know that this equipment needs to work. It needs to be high quality, reliable, and dependable in the moment. And that's why I use MSA, because they know what's at stake. Someone said to me ages ago, and they related it more to a physical thing that I was struggling with at the time, but they later related it to, because I don't think you can ever really separate the physical from the mental. That's a bit of a weird thing where we look at physical well-being versus mental well-being. But they said the body whispers before it screams. And in the place that I was at the time, I could very much relate to that. But I had a firefighter on station that I was working at, took his life. And another friend of mine took his life here in the UK. And there's a chief fire officer that took his life in the UK. I had a breakfast with him. And didn't see any of them coming. And it's that subtle difference between obvious and oblivious. How many times have you turned that Rubik's Cube round in your head and gone, what was that?
Yeah, it's been, especially right after, in like years, 2 or 3 years after, there was thousands of times I think about it. And Carl and I had talked about it, and there have been times where we look back on certain things you'd said, or like using more sick time at work or stuff like that, whereas there were subtle signs there. And at the time, I think I blamed myself in some ways, but looking back, that's obviously just like a selfish kind of way to rationalize that you're more, could have had some kind of impact on it. But I think that the best thing to be done is just use what he taught us and the way he lived as motivation to keep training, keep trying to honor him through the sport. And we're still very close to this family. They're awesome inspirations for us. But yeah, no, it's never easy. And like I've tried to just keep telling myself and try to learn the lesson that like everybody's on their own journey. And if it's going down that path, sometimes there's nothing you can do. You can try to help and try to be like as supportive as you can be, but ultimately, like it's beyond us
Yeah,
in a
when
lot of
people
ways.
have I've had a number of podcasts with psychologists on this topic, and they talk about a pathway to suicide and how people become so very calm about it. They're not even scared of it anymore. They're not worried about it. They're not anxious. They're not even depressed. There's a very eerie calmness that comes about people, and they do really weird things like cut the grass, make the bed, wash the car, before they commit that final act. And as much as we explore the world and the ocean and space and everything else, I think we haven't mastered this. You actually shared it in or something I'm going to relate it to in some of the notes that you sent, and you said around there's a different version of you living in the minds of everyone around you. And I've probably gotten that quote wrong, but it is written down somewhere like,
There's a different version of you living in every person you've met, or something like that. And I try to like
mhm,
think about that as like every interaction you have with somebody, even if it's the only interaction you ever have with them, you're going to leave an impression of who you are or of the person you are, in just that brief moment. So you try to make that interaction as positive as possibly can.
you leave a fingerprint, don't you?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
always say we're just a cocktail of all the people around us and everything. It's like when you meet someone that has a really different worldview to you, and you go, "What would I have to believe to think the way that you think?" Because if I had your upbringing, I'd probably have the similar worldview to you. So it doesn't inherently make the way you're acting or what you're thinking wrong. But you've really got to have a curiosity about yourself to be open enough to understanding that we all have a tremendous impact on other people. I always like to reframe it as the influencer thing. We talk about influencers now as in social media. We're all influencers. You have an influence on your children, on your family, on your friends, on every person that you meet. There are no innocent interactions. You're going to leave an influence. Is it going to be for better or for worse? Do you know what I mean? You're going to have an impact on everybody around you. We talk about impact like it's a positive thing. Like, oh, I really had an impact on that team. Yeah, what you mean? They fucking hate you. Yeah, the impact was they realized how not to lead, how not to be a good friend. But we do leave those fingerprints everywhere. Like how do you deploy that mindset tactically in your day-to-day life, being where your feet are? Because that's very difficult.
Oh man, the big question. I think it's I think it's just a mentality. I'm like, yeah, it's like there's this thought project or a thought experiment where you just think that like if we all come from the same place, if we're all just stardust and we're all made the same things, then you're really just like interacting with another version of you. And it's like if somebody was interacting with me, I would hope they'd be as generous and as kind and as like gracious as they could possibly be and understand all like the traumas and the history that I come from and kind of meet me halfway. And so the very least I can do to this other version of myself is do the exact same thing, is just offer as much grace and time and like just try to make their day a little bit better in some way or another. And yeah, I think that's like the most basic human thing you can do for somebody, regardless if it's in our job, you're dealing with a patient or a coworker or like a person you're competing against in the course. I think that's just kind of like the basis for how to be.
I always like to think there's no adults. Like we're all
Mhm.
babies. We're all
Or golden
babies.
retrievers. Yeah.
It's conscious. We operate off dopamine, and
Yeah.
we're all just seeking connection. I think that's the only thing we're here for, really, because we're quite feeble creatures. We've got soft skin. We've not got long nails. We've got sharp teeth. We're not really very strong by comparison to everything else. The only way we make it through this is connection, is building relationships with other people. I think it keeps us alive as well. There's been some really interesting studies I've read around people that weren't hugged as a child. That will really mess you up. We need it. Whether you want to measure it scientifically or not, there is something about, and I relate it back to yourself and the team, like you can go faster alone but further together. There is so much strength in numbers, and it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle where you all just continue to lift each other up, and it becomes that sort of positive vortex, the people that you surround yourself with. How do you, again, relate that to your life outside of just work? Because I've been really, really focused on not being around people that aren't net positive,
Mm.
trying to stay away from mood hoovers or energy vampires or not being the go-to person for people that I can't go to. How do you
I,
protect your inner
I
circle?
really respect that philosophy for like your own mental health and like and protecting like the goodness about you. I think that that's a really effective strategy. I love getting into conversations with those people when,
Mhm.
especially when we're at work and like a lot of negativity comes up about riding the ambulance or just dealing with other healthcare professionals or like there's always or management. There's always something to be negative about, but I
Mhm.
like trying to spin it in some kind of positive way. Um, and like we were talking about earlier, we're like construction workers, like they're actually doing real work. So when people are complaining about being on the ambulance, typically we have a 2-to-1 practitioner to patient ratio. My wife's a nurse and like she works with a lot of people that they go to work and they're one practitioner to like 5+ patients. And so their job is going to be way harder than ours. So even compared to like other people in the healthcare field, we still got it pretty good. And when we don't have patients, we're hanging out the station half the time. So when somebody brings up a lot of negativity or trying to like just really bring down the mood, I just try to like engage in like a conversation with them and figure out, a different way to look at it, reframing, and just try to do a little bit of perspective shift. Um,
Hmm. I want to take a minute to just tell you about something that I think you're going to be really interested in. Next September, firefighters from across the UK and Ireland will be traveling to Atlanta, Georgia for something truly special. It's the United for 9/11. It's the Memorial Stair Climb. Now, this isn't just any event. It's a once-in-a-generation tribute where 343 firefighters, one for every FDNY firefighter who gave their life on September 11th, will climb 110 floors in their honor. It's about more than just a physical challenge. It's about remembering sacrifice, pushing ourselves, and standing shoulder to shoulder across services and across nations. It's a chance to honor the legacy of 9/11, to pay tribute to our fallen firefighters, and to test your mental and physical strength, and to raise an awareness around mental health and resilience in the fire service. Whether you take part in this climb or not, support from home, or simply help spread the word, you can be part of it. This is about unity, remembrance, and respect. So if you want to learn more, head over to www.memorialstairclimb.co.uk or on Instagram, check out united_911climb. This is going to be something powerful. I hope you can make it. I hope you can support it. Now back to the show. you can never choose the people that you work with. You can. I mean, you can move stations and stuff like that, but it is easier to protect that circle in your personal life. But how do you strike the balance between putting a positive spin on things and also the reality that you can't pick the people that you work with and not allowing that to come home with you? I have this thing where, like, when I come home, I have a tree outside my house, little tree. It's not very big, but when I get out of the car, if I've got something that's been like grinding in my head or anything. Do you ever watch Harry Potter?
Oh yeah.
Seen Harry? Yeah, good. You know when they pull their dreams out of their head, or they pull their thoughts and they throw them into the thought pool in Dumbledore's thing. I like mentally pretend to do that. Like if I've got something in there and I'm like, fucking hell, and I almost like mentally just go, right, I'm going to take this and I'm going to hang it on a tree. Because that doesn't belong inside. It doesn't belong. And people go, oh, fucking hell, Pete, you don't really do this. Yeah, I really do that. Usually it's dark when I'm doing it. So people aren't looking at me standing outside. But it's just like a mindfulness practice where I stand there for a minute and just go, right, when I walk through the door, my daughter or my partner, what would the best partner or what would the best dad in the world, of which I will never be, but what does the best person walk through the door like when they're coming home to greet their family? They don't come in and go, oh, fucking had a terrible day. Or don't talk to me, I need to go upstairs. I've got to do some emails, I've got to jump on the laptop, I've got to do whatever. These thoughts don't belong inside with me. And I'm going to leave them here. And if I come out in the morning, they're still there. It doesn't always work perfectly. You know, sometimes I get inside and slip into that vortex of self-deprecating frustration. But I have to consciously really try and do that. Otherwise, I'm not very good at separating work life and home life. Is there any reframing things that you do? Is there any priming examples? Is there any, because I've had the privilege of seeing your family through some of the things that you've shared. And obviously I've met your friend group from time to time as well. You seem to spend a lot of time cultivating that, and you don't have the bitterness or the frustration that you can sometimes see in people that have been in a frustrating job for a long time.
I think you've posted something about this where you need to work out just to like get to a baseline of like
Burn off the
healthy
crazy.
happiness.
Yeah.
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 And I feel like
happiness is hard to get to.
I don't know. I feel like quite a bit. I feel like when the sun's shining, I'm shining right back. But I feel like if I don't get that training session in and if I'm not physically tired, then that's when like, if there is something that's bugging me, it just starts ruminating, goes around and round and round until I can get to the gym or go for like a trail run or just get outside and kind of like touch grass. I find that kind of grounding and that kind of burning off that anxious energy is what gives me the ability to like kind of maintain that positivity throughout the day. If I don't get that, if it's like busy with the kids or whatever else or whatever excuse comes up, I find that I do struggle with that a little bit more and I carry a little bit more. And when those conversations come up at the coffee table or the dinner table at work where people do bring up that negativity, I'm more likely to jump in and join in and be like, oh yeah, like so unfair, we're treated so poorly. And then I have to catch myself, take a step back and be like, actually, holistically, we're doing all right here. Things are pretty good.
Yeah. It's so goddamn hard. You mentioned there about, you know, and I'm the same. I do use health and fitness as a bit of a coping strategy. I always talk about that with discipline. People say, "Oh, like really disciplined." I'm like, it's a bit of a trick. You know, I'm a recovering addict. I'm addicted to exercise, and I struggle to take breaks. I struggle to rest, which is why I've injured myself a lot of times. I've snapped my patella tendon off. I've had bulging discs in my back. I've torn my pec off and stupid stuff. You've had a lot of injuries as well. How have you learnt, or have you learnt, to, because you're clearly quite fit and physically capable in some capacity now, but by your own admittance, you are held together with duct tape and optimism. So give us a bit of a whistle-stop tour of some of the physical challenges and setbacks and how you approach your physical, and perhaps, again, you can't separate the two. What's your approach to training and well-being now?
Yeah, I think that my biggest issue is I played rugby for 15 years. So just everything that could get hurt, all the joints have been torn, so many concussions, I lost count and my ability to count. And it's just been, yeah, a bit of a long road. So I think taking a step back from rugby and focusing on Firefit has been a huge help in that regard. I still do get like the odd back pain or knee pain or stuff like that. And I would like to say that I'm smarter now and just take time off and let it heal properly. but I just train other things that aren't going to be aggravating like the injured area. Like for a year, I had a bulging disc in my back, so I couldn't do any kind
You
of
had a bulging
bilateral.
disc when we were out in Saudi, didn't you?
Yeah, and that was when it was like
It
really flaring
triggered up
up.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, so I couldn't do back squats, couldn't do deadlifts. So instead, I just did all unilateral exercises. So Bulgarian split squats, single leg deadlifts, like everything that I can do to keep training without aggravating the injury is how I kind of compensate for that. And and then in my off season, we take like the first 2 months is pretty much dedicated to rehab, prehab, and just kind of reestablishing firm baseline, like our solid baseline to build off of for the next season. And I think that's actually paid dividends for me.
So what does rehab and downtime look like for you? But this again is all structured around your sole goal now is the challenges. You don't compete in anything else.
I do play rugby, but it's like one tournament a year out in Jasper, which is like this beautiful mountain town in Alberta. And one tournament a year, they have a sevens tournament. And it's just like mostly an excuse to go drink with the boys and like kind of see everybody from the community again.
Mhm.
Um, so I do that. And then I do trail running, I do mountain biking. But yeah, I'd say my primary training focus is Firefit year round. So basically, kind of what that looks like is as soon as Worlds are done in October is when my off season starts. So
Okay.
from October till middle of November, if we don't have snow, that's when I get all my trail running and my mountain biking in that I missed for the rest of the summer because I've been training for Firefit. Get back into yoga, and then I really start to ramp up like the off season training kind of mid November. And that's when we start building aerobic capacity. We start doing a lot more VO2 max training, muscular endurance in the gym, or hypertrophy training to kind of put on a little bit more size. As the season goes on, I typically lose about 5 to 10 pounds just because of all the training we do. Um, so yeah, try to put on some size. And after Christmas, we do strength training, really prioritize VO2 max training. And then
So what does that look like practically? I don't want to bore people. Well, we won't,
mm,
but I don't want to do buzzword bingo, which is not what we're doing. But for people that hear these things, rather than them going down the Google rabbit hole, and just for total transparency, people will do that because you are the world champion and they want to try and copy some of what you're doing. So what does aerobic capacity mean for people that doesn't know what it looks like practically? What are these timed interval splits? Is it
there.
running? Is it cycling? Is it ski erg? Is it rowing? What are you doing?
Yeah. So for me, I look at to get better at a sport, there's three rules: specificity, specificity, specificity. So the more like specific you can make your training to the sport you're trying to get better at, that's what we're going to be doing. So for building aerobic capacity, it's running because running translates really well to firefighting or to firefit or stairs.
Mm.
So I try to get my 5K time down as fast as I possibly can by about December 15th.
5K, isn't that a bit much?
I don't think so because I'm trying to develop that like aerobic base. So I'm trying to develop my heart rate of like 150 to 180 range and try to sustain that for as long as possible. I know this is like a controversial thing. The guys in Edmonton think I'm crazy for doing this, but this is just what I do because it's partly selfish because I love running and I love doing like that 5K trial time.
I
So
do a
it's the
lot of
only.
rowing time trials and I
Okay.
do a lot on the bike time trials, but I've lost like 6 stone, but I'm still like 18 stone. Running is shit.
How
I
much
do a
is?
1.5 mile run, which is, I don't know, what is that? 3, no, it's 1.6
Yeah,
kilometers to a
1.6.
mile.
Call it
So
3K maybe.
yeah, it's about 3K. I'm happy with that. I try and do really fast 3Ks max.
Okay, nice.
Anything beyond that, fuck it. Sorry, I interrupted you. But
No, no, all
you
good.
running is you. But like, do you not worry about your knees and your ankles? I know you're only doing 5K. We're not talking
I'm
marathons
also
here.
just I'm a little skinny guy, so it doesn't really affect me too
You
much.
are, but you've got a hell of a dong on you. That's gotta be an issue when you're running.
Oh, that was for the after show.
Oh, dear.
Uh,
Five
uh,
Ks. Okay, you try and get your
yeah,
5K right down. Do you
that's
do
basically it.
consistent time and then you just balance it? You just focus on heart rate training. Do you use MyZone? Do you use a Garmin? What's
I use
some
Garmin. Yeah,
hacks?
I use a
Garmin.
Garmin, and then I'll start doing like VO2 max training. I use the Nordic 4x4. So go on a
Okay.
treadmill, pick a speed and an incline that you can run for 4 minutes at near your maximal. I call it about 90%. So you run for 4 minutes on, you take 3 minutes off, and then you go 4 minutes on, and you repeat that 4 times. It's a
Have you
grind.
done
It's a
Miko's
grind.
triangle?
No, what's
Do you know
that?
what that is? It's basically a concept 2 workout. It's a CrossFit workout, but it's only a
Mm.
concept two. So you do a rower, you do a ski erg, and you do a bike, and you hit the minimum you're trying to do is 18 calories. 18 calories on each, every minute on the minute. So minute on the rower as an example, minute on the ski erg, minute on the bike, and then a minute off. So it's a 4-minute round, and you try and do
Mm.
18 calories each round. You do it for 40 minutes. And
Oh,
it
wow.
is lactic threshold interval
Yeah.
training. I love that. I've gotten up to 22. So that'll be my challenge that I set for you or anybody else. 22 Miko is quite hard because you're just getting there.
Yeah.
Unlike the ski erg. The ski erg is the hardest one because you can't get the same leverage. Like rowing, if you're a good rower, you're quite tall. You're probably quite good at
Yeah.
rowing. Although, does it agitate your back?
No, it's fine. My back's good now. I have no issues with it anymore. I feel like I've totally rehab that.
Rowing, yeah. If you're quite tall and you're long limbs and quite powerful, but yeah, I much prefer stuff like that because there's no running involved, and it's
To be fair
all
though, it's
pure lactate threshold. It's all endurance work. It's trying to build that engine. They're my
yeah.
go-tos when I'm
It
trying to get
sounds
my
like
fitness levels up.
similar adaptations, just more on the lactic threshold spectrum
Mm,
than it would be VO2 max development. Because for VO2
yeah.
max, you need a little bit more rest so that you can hit the next set just as hard. But yeah, no. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for that. And then for as we get closer to the season, then we start ramping up to more anaerobic threshold training, more like intervals that would be specific to the actual course itself. And then we start doing more power in the gym time. So resistance training gets more power orientated, a lot more plyometrics, a lot more cleans, and just trying to generate as much force as we possibly can and speed. And then we
People that
throw in more
understand
coursework.
plyometrics, so we're talking box jumps, big broad jump explosives. What are you doing else
And
for your
some ball work.
plyometrics?
Yeah, it's kind of different depending on what phase we're in. But yeah, like right now, my plyometrics are looking at like super low reps, max intent, max explosiveness. Use a lot of med small work, use light barbells for like Olympic lifting type things, and then
Mhm.
mostly just jumping around though, like single leg jumps, depth jumps, box jumps, that kind of thing, and then lots of sprint work as well.
Yeah, I enjoy plyometrics. I need to do more single leg stuff. I'm still getting really
Mhm.
nervous about my right leg. I snapped my patella tendon, and I do loads of walking backwards on treadmills and loads of balance work on it and stuff like that. But when you've had an injury, this is a good question for you. Like, you've had knee problems, shoulder issues, back issues. How do you learn to trust your body again?
Yeah, I think it's just slowly building it back up to the point where you can. Like, well, I hurt my back doing deadlifts, and then so for over a year, I didn't touch a deadlift bar. I would do single leg stuff, but lightweight, just going very slowly through the range of motion, and then building up the core to the point where I knew that the musculature around the damaged area could support it, and then slowly integrating it into my workout and never letting that pain get past like a 2 or 3 before just backing off or like moving on to something else. It's such a gradual process, and
Mhm.
yeah.
I think, yeah, I'm not quite there in trusting my body again at the minute. I just get scared it's going to let me down, and I want to get over that. I need to get over that. But how do you keep pushing for new goals now? Because I remember someone said to me recently when I was talking about going for something else that I'd already done before, and they said the whole point of winning the game is to free yourself of it. And I thought,
Mhm.
oh, I know you said before about it's just you versus you, so you can always chase that personal best. You've done it now. You're world champion. You've got all the golds. You've done it. What else is there to push for in your mind? Do you anticipate yourself doing something else? Because again, I echo back to Jared. Like, Jared's awesome. He's probably won more golds than you. I have no idea. But he seems to have won hundreds. I get for him, it's tied into the brand as well. And he coaches a lot of people and he's really, really good at all that stuff. Do you see yourself doing it for another 20 years? Is there other things you want to do?
My wife and I were just talking about this. Is like, if I could pick two sports to do besides like right now that I get the most enjoyment out of besides Firefit, it's trail running and it's yoga. But the outcomes I would get wouldn't be conducive to being a good firefighter. Like the nice thing about this sport is that it gives me the ability to perform like all the tasks I need to do. I train a ton in gear, and I feel like it just makes me my baseline is like I'm ready to show up and be one of the most effective firefighters like fireground. And if I was just
Mm,
doing yoga and trail running, I would lose so much weight and my strength and power would drop off a cliff. And then the other aspect of it that I thought about is like those are pretty solitary um, adventures and tasks. And something that like just fills my battery is being around other people. And Firefit is such an amazing community that it makes it easy
Hmm.
to see myself doing it for the long term. And it's relatively injury free for the most part.
I was going to say the thing with rugby, like I played rugby a lot when I was in school, and I did a little bit of martial arts, and then I did a lot of ice hockey and roller hockey and stuff like this. But there was always someone turning up on a Saturday that just wanted to injure you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when you're trying to be really high performing at something, competing against weekend warriors that could turn up and give you a career ending injury. It's not. It's something you got, and that's tough because, like you say, you want to remain involved in team sports, but things like rugby, I'm not sure the longevity for athletes there. I don't see, you see people come out of the changing rooms in rugby and there's like gargoyles. It's like Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings has just opened its gates. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a rough sport, whereas like you say in this, you're getting all the benefits without negatives. You're competing with friends, you're getting that team camaraderie, that rapport. You're very fit, very healthy, but it's you versus the course, isn't it?
Absolutely. And like, I do agree that like it is like you're just racing the time, but like for the next in 3 weeks from now is nationals, and we have Rafael Bereza from Poland coming out, and he's like another top guy. And he's going to be racing with us. And the last time him and I raced was on the Canadian course 3 years ago, and we were neck and neck, and I fell. So I'd like to have a rematch against him and kind of see how
Yeah.
that goes
He
because
he said you were going to bottle it again. Spoke to him this morning. He was like, Brad, who? Fucking pretender.
I don't believe for a second. He's such a sweetheart, that guy.
I know.
Doesn't speak any
I'm not
English,
saying.
but
I don't
oh
even know
god,
him. Don't know him at all.
oh no, yeah, he's a sweetheart.
Have you
He
seen
probably wouldn't like me
Duarte again since? Has he been over to do any of the Firefit stuff?
Who's that, sorry?
How dare you? Duarte Mendez was the guy that beat all of us
Oh yeah, yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah,
at the Firefit at the toughest firefight alive in Saudi. He came over
yeah.
to the UK this year for the British Firefight Challenge. Spanked everybody.
Oh
He
really?
was
Yeah,
great, and we have some incredible athletes again, like Matt Adams,
yeah.
Savage, really, really fit, strong, handsome son of a gun. But he was incredible this year across the whole course. But Duarte came and just went, "This is the bar. Meet me up at the bar." And like no one had it in the locker. It was a whole nother level,
I
but different
I
fitness.
hope he would come out. That'd be amazing. Yeah, I know. Dave and him were good buddies in Saudi. They exchanged
Oh
jerseys
yeah,
and they still chat quite a bit. But I would love for him to come out. There's a few guys that I would love to see like come out to the Canadian course because it is like the fastest course in my opinion. The
it
tower is
is
just
the
like most
fastest
conducive.
course, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
for
that's
sure.
so let's go there actually because TFA. I know Firefit is what you do in Canada. I know Firefit is what you do in the States. But I know I personally perform a lot better when things are a little bit heavier and things are a little bit longer,
Mm.
like the TFA courses or like big stair climb challenges, where for some reason, just long limbs and I think I've got just a good engine. But when you get into the shorter courses, this is what I was saying about fitness. You can be really fit, but arguably, in the British zone, I think one of the fittest people out on our course is actually a guy called Zach Blackledge. Really fit. He's a CrossFitter. I
Mm.
think he's the fittest person on the course, but he doesn't win. I think he's won his age category. I'm not saying he's rubbish. He's very, very good, but there is so much skill in these things. It really is a reps, transitions, marginal gains sport, especially when the course is so damn short. You're talking about a minute. A minute. There is so small margin for error there, isn't there?
It's wild. Like the difference between my race and Carla's race is like if I make a misstep or a blunder in any way, it's going to be a catastrophic failure. So like when I'm pulling over the donut roll, my goal is to be down the first flight of stairs prior to that roll landing into the basket. So it's a
Fucking hell.
basically a kettlebell swing to pop it up, and then I don't watch it. I don't even like pay attention. As soon as it's up, I let go, and I'm running down the stairs. So if I mess that up, that the roll could go like down the stairs and get DQ'd, or it can come out and get a 2 second penalty. And at this level, like a 2 second penalty is like you're basically done. But for Carla, it's like, yeah, she can afford to take that time, two hands up, place it in, and then she goes, and she's still one of the top girls. It's just like that we're operating at such like a speed that like any kind of little blunder is going to be catastrophic. So that's why like I do so much visualization and so much like drilling in my head of every single step of the race, so that by the time I'm actually running the course, that day I've already run through it 10, 15, 20 times in my head. And
All
I
right,
know the
let's go
cues
there.
when you
Let's
say
go
it.
there because I'm going to love this. I'm going to shut
Okay.
up, which is rare for people. Take me through the visualization.
So basically it's they always start the same music every time for the final race. And I'm always on the red side, fastest person here to the red. So I line up. I'm usually racing Jordan King, so I give me a fist bump, take a few breaths. They call us the pack, and it's just like a slow walk up. Anthony Story from Fredericton taught me that. Slow walk up, get in position, and then all I'm thinking for the first flight of stairs is explode. As aggressive as I can, explode, explode, explode. Then when
Left
I
foot forward
touch
or
my
right foot forward? Sorry.
left foot forward, one step,
Okay.
then two, 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 two grabs of the handle. As soon as the second grab is extending in my arm, straight arm up to the next, two steps on the landing, two, 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 two. And that's just like all I'm saying in my head is two, 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 and grab early. Two, 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 grab early until I hit the fourth flight of stairs. At the fourth flight, it's usually around 8 seconds. So I know that my anaerobic capacity is starting to diminish. And I know that it's just like a mind game at this point. So it's like as fast as you can, everything you got, as fast as you can for the last two flights. As soon as I start the last flight, it's attack the rope. So I'm pulling. I take one step with my left foot onto the top of the landing, throwing the hose pack into the bin. I don't step on the landing again. It's a pure jump onto uh, the little lip that you stand on for the rope pull. It's one big grab with the right hand, and then I just count my left pulls. So I count one every time my left hand pulls, two, three, four. On the fourth grab, I know that I have one more right and one more left, and that's when the donut roll is going to come up. As it comes up, then it's all thinking about the stairs. When you're going down the stairs, the fast you gain your speed from pulling yourself down on the railing. So for that first flight, you can't pull yourself yet with the brake hand. So I'm putting my left foot, inside foot down on the first stair or the first step down, and then I'm angling my feet at 45 degrees, and my left hand is going to be doing my spin. So as I do my turn, my right hand brakes, my left hand pushes off the inside railing, and I'm thinking about getting my left hand onto the next railing as fast as possible. As I break the plane of heading back down the stairs, I pull with my right hand to propel me down, and then just repeat. So I never want to touch the railing with my right hand until it's about to break, and that's about the halfway point. I want to break so my arm is fully extended and that the hand railing passes right underneath my armpit, shooting that left hand down the entire time. On my last turn, I start visualizing attacking the hammer. So in Firefit, it's all about transition. So a lot of people, when they come down the stairs and they go to like running on flat ground, they stand upright and lose a lot of momentum. So I'm thinking attack as fast as I possibly can. And then it's going to be four steps until I can jump onto the hammer. I know the hammer's 8 hits. On my seventh hit, I drop my feet from being side by side to being a stagger stance in a sprinter's position, take off, throw the hammer back. I know you're supposed to place it carefully, but I find it slows me down by half a second by putting the proper technique that people coach you for. So I
That's a
throw the
gamble
hammer.
moment, that though, isn't it?
Yeah, but if it's half a second, it's half a second. And then I'm sprinting. So I think about pumping my arms as much as I can. And then I think, you're such a pussy, you're not going fast enough. So now we got to go. Don't relax on the pylons. So every single turn I make, I look to the next pylon past. So my head is already turning, my shoulders will turn, and then my hips will square up. As soon as I turn a pylon, I'm leaning forward to get a bit more momentum, chase the center of gravity, and then carry that the whole way through. On my last cone, I take a glance at the clock to make sure that it's 43 or less. And if it's 43 or less, then I know they're on pace. Then I attack the hose. I pick up the hose, it's going to be the lightest it's going to be, so you got to go as fast as you can, get the momentum. Lean in, start sprinting. I'll spray about 10 feet prior to the door. As soon as the target's down, I know that I've gone far enough with the hose that I can drop it. My momentum carries me through. And then I know that I have 2 seconds to get from dropping the hose to touching dummy. So then it's just a mad sprint to the dummy. I place my right foot on the outside shoulder on the right side shoulder of the dummy, throw him up, jump both feet forward, get into a squat. My mask has to go to the left side of the shoulder or left side of the head, or else the regulator will hit his top and knock me up and slow me down. Then I do get as big a grab as possible, give him a big hug, and then it's just like off the races. I'm just running. And then I think I don't really start thinking until about halfway through the dummy, and then it's just like big step, go, big step, go, big step, go. I want to see the ref who was officiating it to be like a jog, and if they're jogging, that means I'm doing a good pace for my dummy, and that's pretty much it. The other nice thing though is like I know my time so well that I have Carla, who's like the loudest person out there. She's gonna yell my time as soon as I put my foot on the ground from the tower. So it'll be like 29, 30, 31. And then I'll know
Why do
it's
you
like,
want to know your time? You can't go any faster.
no, but in my mind it's like if I'm at, if I'm a second slower than I should be to break a record or something, then I'm like, okay, well that's motivation to go faster. Now I have to go faster. And then if I'm already like on pace or going faster, then it's like, well, I could potentially break a record here. I have to go like send it all. So either way, it's like motivating factor to go fast.
Okay. If that,
Yeah.
as long as that's how it works for you, because I don't think I could do that. I think the clock would fuck with me. No matter what I'd see, I'm like, I feel like, and I'm not reached your level in this particular discipline. So who am I to say anything? But when I'm doing it on like a 10K sprint on the bike or something like that, can you go harder or not? It doesn't fucking matter what the time is. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. Usually, because it will go off when I get to zero. When I finish the 10K, it will go. The little noise will happen. So sometimes I just put a towel over it
Mm.
because it's like I'm looking for something. I'm looking, and it's not going to tell me anything. There's obviously it is going to tell me something, but I don't know. I just don't. I feel like that would be wasted energy. I'd be like taking my focus away to glance at the clock, and it's either going to make me anxious. I don't know. I can't. I don't know about
I
that one.
use it. I use it as fuel either way because either way, it's like I
Okay.
have to go faster. So it's just like some
Okay.
people like if they make a mistake in the race, then they're like, oh well, this run is useless. Like I'll just mail it in, and then like
Mhm.
the next time I'll try. For me, it's like if I make a mistake, it's like well now I have to go faster. I have to like make up some time somewhere else.
Right. Several things I want to unpick. Oh, how are we doing on time? Shit, we only got like 10 minutes, haven't we?
Yeah, about that.
All right. We're going to have to get into the quotes another time. We'll close on some of this. Going downstairs, a thing some people don't train for. I mean, they'll simulate running downstairs. Is there a tip? Is there a trick? You said about you pull yourself down the stairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
That's
use the brake hand to stop your momentum from the direction that you're going down. Use your other hand to push you to spin to turn as tight as you possibly can. And then as soon as you break that plane, that your hips are past that the handrail, it's time to like get going down the stairs as fast as you can. So you give yourself a pull to actually kind of throw yourself down the stairs a bit. And then I think about my feet too, because if you're going like flat footed down, you can kind of catch the heels a little bit. Whereas I envision my feet are at 45 degrees. So they're more just like touching the stairs. You go down.
yeah. You need to be falling with style, don't you? But
Absolutely. Yeah.
you get penalties for not. You have to touch every step with every foot, or not every foot, but yeah, it has to be
Yeah.
one foot on each step.
That's right. You have to
Yeah.
touch every step.
You
Every
skip
step
them
you
on the way up,
miss.
1 foot on every step.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you miss a step on the way down, it's a 2-second penalty per step. And your down should only be like 13 seconds. So it's like quite significant.
Going backwards with the casualty, how do you train for that other than going backwards with the casualty?
Like I said, specificity. We do tons of dummy drags. Like just on Monday, I did a full workout and then I put on all my gear. Well, I just put on a pack and boots and gloves. And I did I think it was 11 drags. So basically I just wanted to breathe down my tank and it would be a full like 100-foot drag and then take a minute off and just repeat. And just getting comfortable having the tank on and breathing with against resistance. And then just every single rep trying to be as fast as you possibly can. The dummy is my weakest event of the whole thing. If you look at a guy like Ian Van Reenen, his dummy was like 15 seconds consistently. Bereza is like 14, 15 seconds, and mine's like a 16. So if I was able to run as fast as those guys, then like a 107 is technically possible with the perfect race. So that is something I need to improve on. So I've been just drilling a ton of dummies this summer.
You don't do sled work, or you don't do sprinting backwards on a treadmill.
Yeah, we do tons of sled work as well. But I just find like the technique for having to hold the dummy up in a position that you can take as big as steps as possible, it's tough to replicate that with the sled. So I do sled work, but mostly that's for like the hose drag simulation. Sometimes if we're just doing like a burnout day, we'll do like a sled pull and then, a sled drag and then a sled pull back to back to back. But yeah, no, I think that just doing the dummy drag itself over and over and over again in gear, on repeats while fatigue is very important. This year I started I'll do a full race, like every week, do at least one full in full gear. And then I'll give myself a minute rest and then I do the dummy drag back to the starting position. So basically 2 dummies And I find that one's been a really good, like, to get me very fatigued after the full is a great little afterburn.
I think we're going to wrap it up there because I want to go. I know the next rabbit hole I'll go to will drag me down into. I want to go into some mindset stuff. I want to go into some longevity stuff, and I want to go into some family work-life balance stuff. So we will stick a pin in that for our next conversation. You've got the Worlds coming up. Tell me about what's coming up because maybe next time we speak, it might be 5-6 months from now. What are you about to go and do, and what's the goal for it?
So nationals is first. We call it nationals just to differentiate the two, but the Canadian nationals and worlds is coming up in September 10th to the 15th. That one's the most important one to me, just because it's like it's our course, it's home turf. Like we want a Canadian to win it, and we got a ton of like just dogs coming from Europe and some Americans coming up. So I really want to win that one. And then we go to Worlds in Dallas, Texas, and that course is like it's just a little bit different. So I'm going to go into it with realistic expectations. But yeah, no, it should be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Excited to see some of the friends that I haven't seen for a while, the international people that come out. And it should be good. Yeah.
Do you have any anxiety or any concern running up to it? Because all eyeballs have got to be on you at the minute, brother. So like, how do you just unplug from that going up to a competition like that? And also, just last one, I promise. Give me what's the deload phase running up to this now? What does training look like pre-comp?
I've been doing a terrible job deloading. I've been training the new recruits and filtering my workouts in around those workouts. So I'm probably overtraining right now a little bit. Probably a week prior to, I'll taper, just do high intensity, keep the intensity really high, but keep the fatigue low. I say that, I probably won't. And then that's kind of the plan. I think that like the anxiety stuff is, I always feel like I'm the underdog, no matter who I'm racing. I just feel like other people are, more jacked than I am. They have more time in sport. So it's like, I have to work harder than everybody else or else I'm never going to be able to like stand up next to them. So I feel like that bit of imposter syndrome or whatever I have is just like the motivating factor to keep going. But yeah, typically I don't have like too much anxiety. I don't take it overly seriously because there's so much other things in life going on.
Mate, I absolutely love that. You are the literal Clark Kent for me. You're like the mysterious accidental hero. And I say that as a tremendous compliment because you're not wrapped up in your own glory and your own superiority, or you don't pretend to be, espousing these words from the fucking mountaintop of wisdom. Do you know what I mean? You are.
Because I don't know those words.
No, but you're the eternal student. You're the eternal curious goofball. And that's I think that's what really just pulled me out. We ran against each other. People won't know in Saudi, and it was so great to be able to spend time with you. Who actually won? Did you win? Because I got penalties. Because I finished before you, but I think you beat me.
I think my second phase. I think you beat me in all three except for phase 2, and then my phase 2 is like the only one that I was decent at. So I think that phase 2 is good enough.
Yeah, you were better on the hose, weren't you? Yeah. Oh, no. Phase 2 was the dummy. Phase 2 was the dummy in the tunnel.
Yeah,
dummy in the tunnel I was shit at. And then we had the stair climb.
So I think that just eked me out a little bit. I think in Saudi I finished in 7th or something like that. Like it wasn't, it was the first time doing it. And, but there's no.
Are you going back again? You going next year?
I don't know yet. I don't know if the finances will line up for that.
Fine. They were free. They should invite us all again. Hopefully they'll get us out there. Anyway.
Well, if they do that, then I'll be there for sure.
Free trip to Saudi. Yes, please.
I know, right?
Right. Send my love to all of the boys and girls. Some love to Carla, some love to the family. I'd love to catch up. Let's do 3 months, 4 months, whatever it will be. Let's catch an hour and a half together post nationals. And I just love you so much, mate. I always say I love having friends, even if I don't speak to them for a year at a time. They're low maintenance people that make me a better person, and we will interact infrequently, whether it be social media, whether it be WhatsApp. And I really appreciate you. You make me a better person because you help me get over myself and realize that I haven't got to be so serious about everything all of the time. But yeah, I really do appreciate you, mate. And thank you for spending some time with me today.
Same to you, brother. I appreciate everything you do for the community, man.
Nobody gives a shit about Firefit. Nobody cares at all. If you're feeling pretty dandy, touch and rescue Randy. I bet your mama is proud. Showing off your power, running up the tower to all 4 people in the crowd. You'll be a bummer when they ask about your summer and you spent it with Hillary and Dale. About a minute in, you'll start thinking maybe I should fake an injury and fail. Nobody gives a shit about Firefit. No one cares at all. Run a minute, 10 or fall. When you begin, no one will pick up when you call. Nobody gives a shit about Firefit. No one cares at all. Run a minute, 10 or fall. When you begin, no one will pick up when you call. Nobody gives a shit about Firefit. No one cares at all. Run a minute, 10 or fall. When you begin, no one will pick up when you call.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Hope you took a lot away from that episode. We started the Firefighters podcast to develop, inspire, connect, motivate, represent, and most importantly, celebrate the world of incredible emergency services operators and the wider sector through this series of wide-ranging conversations. We really love creating this podcast and bringing it to so many people. Did you know you can also find these on YouTube? We do a lot of video podcasts now. You can head over to our YouTube page and follow, subscribe there. And as a final ask from us, whatever platform you're on, please rate the podcast. It really helps us as a key performance indicator to reach more and more people. I've been your host, Pete Wakefield. This has been the Firefighters Podcast. And wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, be happy, live with intention, and where possible, please remember and support your firefighters and first responders. I'll see you next time.